it could have taken us out of business.
Today, we're in Pennsylvania, visiting Malin from Good Hands Roofing. And if right now you're doing it hit and miss and it's creating 30% of your leads, we should probably focus on that. A family-owned business that did $1.6 million in revenue last year. You guys are doing good. You literally are gonna double the business. But there's a major problem. They don't know their numbers. We're paying like 12 to 15 grand a month in online stuff.
Do I know the actual return on revenue? I don't.
That's $120,000 to $150,000 of revenue. So if it's not producing that, we're losing money on it. In just the first 4 months of this year, their bank balance dropped by $120,000.
If this continues in this direction, then we're gonna be out of cash real quick.
Everyone's like, I will take checks. And then they wonder why we have $200,000 in outstanding invoices. According to their reports, more than $278,000 of completed work still hasn't been paid for. They're robbing from you. It's unethical. Suddenly people get dementia once they owe us money. This is the Business Breakthrough Show. Collecting money later is never, ever a good idea. I always want the money sooner. My name is Mike Andes. I'm the founder of Augusta Lawn Care, where we have over 170 locations worldwide. And I travel the country helping small businesses scale to the next level.
It opens up my mind to the pain points that I've been feeling and how to solve them, so I appreciate that.
Our goal is to give Malin a 6-week strategy to get the business to $3 million in revenue this year.
Hey Mike, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
I'm Malin.
Malin?
Yes.
Awesome, good
Nice-
stuff. And then
nice
your brother's
to meet you.
Melvin, right?
Yeah, so my name is Malin Fisher. I'm the owner of Good Hands Roofing, co-owners with my brother Melvin Fisher.
Just as we've been grown and God's blessed our business, it's been niching. It's systems and software, it's putting them in place.
This is a sick shop.
Thank
Do you guys
you.
own this?
My dad built it for us,
Sweet.
so we rent it from him.
Sweet, that's awesome, dude. Do you want to kind of do a little shop tour? Just show me around a little
Yeah,
bit?
last year we really went all in on the business. We built this in the fall, but we already kind of outgrown it a little bit. Business has been the most humbling experience of my life. It's not easy, but it's a tremendous amount of effort and responsibility, but it's a good time at the end of the day. Like I enjoy the responsibilities.
Where were you beforehand?
Just kind of like a little rundown, probably like 1/4 the size of this.
Really well.
Yeah. So
But yeah, you've already outgrown this basically. We got the important things. Let's go.
Yeah, I got pull-up contests. Yeah, I mean, we try to stay organized in here the best we can. Obviously, it's not the most cleaned up, but we're working with what we got at the moment.
They have no structure around follow-up for invoices. Now that's like where I currently see the hole, because on the P&L it has so much in overdues, like $280,000 in invoice work that hasn't been collected.
We do roofing, siding, gutters, soffit fascia, work on primarily the exterior of the home.
Putting a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort into this now to set it up for my brother and family. And like my ultimate goal is for our employees to be able to be part of the business. And if they want to buy in, pay them well, but also make a profitable business for the owners. Because I think a lot of businesses out there, you pay the guys well, and then the owner doesn't make anything, and it's just a vicious cycle. I mean, Malin's done a good job with that. He's great with numbers and just the back end of things, good at setting up systems.
We have 11 employees, and we're looking to go from 1.6 million to 3 million.
Last year was 1.6 million.
Yes.
What are you kind of targeting this year?
So I was thinking like lofty goal-wise, we could hit 5 million.
This year?
Yes.
Oh wow.
For myself personally, I mean, I would like to sell $300,000 in a month. I think 280 is the best, or last August, but this month we're at 250. So I'm trying to close some today and last week.
They're on pace for 2 million this year.
I want to say they're shooting for 3.
Yeah, but they're on pace for 2.
I think we could have.
Yeah.
But then during February, we were investing a lot into like a new website, a sales process. And I just realized like there's just so many different processes and systems that we don't have in the business yet to go to that level. If I don't build the foundation of the business, then I'm just gonna build a house that's gonna crumble down on itself. I'm always someone that if something's not working, then I'm always gonna reach out and talk to people and figure out how to make it better.
I don't want to diminish the importance of systems. They're very important. But I think it's such a nebulous term, and it's actually used against many home service business owners because it's so nebulous and it seems like so theoretical that you need to like hire a consultant, or you need to go like get education or pay for a course to get systems, and you need to unlock these secrets. It's like, look, a system is simply simplification and standardization of a process, and is the opposite of complex and custom?
So I think realistically probably around 3 million this year, which is already 100% increase, which is good. Like that's phenomenal. But the biggest thing is build something that's sustainable, something that runs without Melvin and I always being hands-on.
Earlier this year and even towards the end of last year, I was just running everywhere and meeting with old customers, running some of the scheduling, but in Malin coming off the field more has helped a ton.
So your role with Melvin, so is he mostly sales?
Yes,
Got it, so then you're more ops?
ops, and then I work in the field.
Right, so you're very hands-on operations, like you're out with the crew.
Yeah.
And is there 2 crews or 1 right now?
Technically 2.
Okay.
I mean, we have like 6 guys out in the field, 7 with me.
When you see how much money they have in the bank and then realize that 4 times that is sitting there in accounts receivable, and you just got to ask yourself, like, what would happen to this business if they could immediately just have all that money in their bank account? Like, oh, they'd be like less stressed out, they'd be able to grow, they'd be able to expand. And then they just go over to the office there?
Yeah, this is our little office. We actually bought this and we had it at our other shop location, and then
Okay.
we moved it here.
Oh, cool.
Evan, he's in here full time, takes phone calls, manages production, gets like work orders ready for the crew.
Good to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
You hustling over here.
So these are each of our jobs. I kind of assign each crew, so it's basically Zeke that's doing them. These are our bigger jobs.
Got a month booked out then?
Yeah, about
Solid.
like month and a half.
Good.
Somewhere around there, honestly.
The one thing is to buy everything cash. So we have so far, except one of the shingle buggies we bought way back. First one we bought it with a loan, so we're still paying it off on that. But everything else has been cash, and sometimes that's been stressful and hard. But I think it's it's the way we want to set up our business, is that we don't want to pay a bunch extra in interest. What's up, Mike?
What's up, brother?
I'm Melvin.
Melvin, good to see you, man. You're out here.
I'm trying to get 300. These
Let's
guys
go.
motivated me.
265, we're close.
Jessica
Got a few more days in.
Not yet.
Okay, I think she's gonna sign today.
The fact that you can do 280, 300,000 a month in revenue, and 2 months ago do 80 to 90,000 is very scary. That's like a huge seasonal swing. This year, the big change in February, like the website, starting ads. Did you need that from last year? Do you think that's just gonna go to the next level, or what was?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the website is we had an original one built. It didn't have like any SEO built into it. We have a marketing company that we spend $3,000 a month on. They content create for us, and then they also handle our social media.
They also do a ton of marketing for what they're getting. It's not like a great return. Spend $40,000 in the quarter and make about 500,000, feel like a 12x return. On roofing, you should have higher. That's $3,000 for that, and the $3,000 for the website separate.
But that 3,000 will go up to 6,000 once we're done with the free performance, because we didn't pay the 18,000 initially. We broke it out 3,000 a month.
So basically
payments for 6
$9,000. So $3,000 website stuff.
Yeah.
The other $6,000 is managing the ads, but then also creating content.
Yeah.
For every dollar I spend in marketing, I want to be able to make $20 of revenue within the next year. That's like a very general rule of thumb. Project-based work, I'm looking for a 20x multiple on marketing in the first year. And the reason I need a higher return than recurring is because recurring, I can keep them longer.
From there, it was during February, whenever that cash got really low, and it was looking like it would continue to go low just because sales were pretty low. Like our sales for February were at our break even for as far as revenue produced wise. In February, things got pretty tough.
Right.
Our bank account went from like 160K down to 40K. There was even a job that we had to go back on that we still have, like we'll probably have to pay out like 15K to fix it. We had to go back on and fix. Thankfully, we were able to fix all the damage, but the amount of cost that it took to fix the job was, if it would have gone worse than it did, it could have taken us out of business. All this stuff kind of piled up at one time, and so it's like, okay, if this continues in this direction, then we're gonna be out of cash real quick.
When you see how much money they have in the bank and then realize that 4 times that is sitting there in accounts receivable, like literally 20% of the revenue sitting in uncollected revenue. And that's what turned a profitable quarter last quarter for them into a negative profit margin.
I was definitely anxious about the whole situation. So
And then in March, what it jumped to? So 91,000 in February, did it jump to like 150?
we hit 240 in March, and now
Okay.
we hit 250 in April.
Have you heard the 4.0 framework, kind of what it is? The 4.0 framework is about solving the constraints in growing a business. Liquidity, leads, labor, and leadership. in that order. Once you have liquidity or cash, I'm gonna turn that into customers or leads using advertising. When I get a bunch of customers, I'm gonna need more laborers. Employees to actually go do the work in the home service industry. Once I get a bunch of employees or laborers out in the field, I need to go get managers or leadership, and that costs more money, causing more pressure on liquidity, and the business cycle continues. From a liquidity perspective, usually we wanna have like a month's worth of revenue to be comfortable. In that case, like we've got like 200 grand in the bank right now. And so when you have 30 or 40, it's certainly difficult. So when I look at the books, there's two things I look at. One is you got a cash accounting and you have accrual accounting. Cash being when money hits the bank, accrual being when the jobs are done. Big tip off with their financials is the fact that when you look at their cash accounting, which is money, when does the money hit the bank account, versus their accrual accounting, in other words, when the work was completed, it's way different. On one of them, they had like a 10% profit margin, and the other one, they were losing like 10% profit, like negative profit, like $70,000. When you see that difference in a cash accounting versus accrual, you know they don't do a good job collecting the money, because you shouldn't have that much of a difference. There shouldn't be the 20% swing when you switch from accounting, accrual and cash accounting, unless you have a very, very long time to collect the money. Now on the books right now, like on your balance sheet, there is $278,000 of accounts receivable. But how much in like the real world do you actually have that's outstanding invoices?
Actually produced.
Like, does that sound like that's a decent number?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that much necessarily. Okay. I know there was a job that we did, like a reframing over the winter time, reframed the inside of this wedding venue that burnt down. The guy that was there, he struggled to like pay us up. It was a job that we broke even on. But then he owed us like 40K.
I just want to see how they're collecting on the money. Because this is an easy fix. If this is simply a function of we don't collect the money fast enough, boys, this is gonna be a fast turnaround. There's like 4 things they need to do. And then the other money, because there's another 100 grand of uncollected, is probably just older stuff.
It'd probably be more jobs that paid their deposit, but that revenue's not produced yet.
Got it. Okay, cool. So we're like 150 to 200 maybe of like uncollected invoices.
Yeah, I would say 150.
Okay. Usually when we do a turnaround or a business breakthrough, we're trying to talk about each of the 4 L's in the framework. However, today we recognize the most important bottleneck in the business, and that is liquidity. They're not collecting money fast enough after a job has been completed. When I look at the constraint currently, I actually think liquidity is the main thing. And that's just money in the bank. Because right now, if you had $200,000 in the bank, you would feel A, less stress, B, you could continue growing and it not be a huge risk to the business. And so liquidity, I think the biggest opportunity here is actually just your collections process. You guys started together, right? Yeah. Is it 50-50?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Some days the one puts more work in than the other. it cleans out in the wash. And we work well together as a team. Like, we're best friends. We hang out a lot, play golf. But the biggest thing is you have to respect each other. You have to respect each other and love each other. And you each have a lane, and you each have gifts that the other person doesn't. But it's been a blessing. It's been super, super fun.
We're both gifted in different areas, but the biggest thing is we have a very strong relationship.
You can do more with 2 brothers than you could with 2 people. Just 2 friends, like it's like 2.5 people. So just have to have respect and love, and know you each have gifts that the other one doesn't. And then communication too.
It's rare that we come to a turnaround, like any sort of, when we come out for a breakthrough or a turnaround, and it's not related to leadership and labor, especially for breakthrough, because usually the biggest constraint to growth in a business is really just the leader. But I actually don't believe that's the case here. They're capable of building a massive business together.
Evan's a big part too, man. He helps a ton. I felt like a chicken with my head cut off before he came in. He's huge, so.
I can vouch for them. They're great owners. Honestly, they're great. Everybody loves working for these guys, and they're just so good together. Honestly, they work really good together.
Appreciate that.
It's better to serve than to create something that serves yourself. So for me, my goal is to hire young men, provide them with a job that provides good income so they can provide well for their families and their children, and build a business that supports not only the customer and the business, but a business that supports the employees.
They're capable of building a massive business together. It's simply just coming down to, like, I think they underestimate how much they know, and therefore they pay people to learn stuff. Also, just basic systems, like collect money. You're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. Get the money beforehand. We need to get 120 grand in the bank.
Okay.
How far away from that now, you think?
We're probably like 60K right now.
60 now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just like with this size of business, there's fluctuations. You basically have a week's worth of revenue in the bank right now. That's when I look at the business, I'm like, it's not a bad business. It's doing well. It's just simply all the money that they've earned is sitting there ready to be collected and just needs a system around, like literally 20% of the revenue sitting in uncollected revenue. Like jobs done, have not been charged. That's all your profit and some. Unless you're financing charges, you should never, the customer should never owe you money. Right, like 60,000 on a 240,000 a month business, we're basically a week. And the gyrations on a 240,000 a month business, like 40 or 50 grand can go like that. I actually don't think that's a horrible thing because you're growing so fast.
We try to move fast, like we try to identify and react and just move fast. And biggest thing is have faith, not be afraid, and just go for it, you know.
I wouldn't take it as like, oh, I'm doing a bad job.
Okay.
It's just simply growth sucks cash, you're growing extremely fast. You're almost gonna double this year in revenue. Like that's awesome. At 23 years old, he's accomplished a lot already. And you know, for all the chitter chatter in the comments saying, that's not a profitable business, it's not anything hard to grow. Okay, well, were you 23 running a 1.6 to $3 million business? Probably not. He's done something right. When you have that much momentum and you have a solid team in place, focus on one thing, and right now that one thing is collections. If he fixes that one thing, he'll have more cash in his pocket, and if he has more cash in his pocket, I happen to believe he'll be able to do a better job of running the business, marketing the business, selling, and then be able to ultimately give back to the community, which he cares a lot about. From a quality of life perspective, getting to 120 would be like a big win, I think. Now, the question is, how do we do that? And I think there's several things. Like, so collections, like people who don't pay right away at the end, we need to have a process in place. Now, when we look at trying to improve how much money we collect on overdue invoices, there's a lot of ways to attack it throughout the entire sales process. One is simply like changing the terms and conditions on our estimate. So for example, right now, do you charge any fees after say 30 days?
We don't enforce it.
Okay. The first place I'm going to attack in the sales process is when the customer gets the estimate. I'm gonna have clear terms as to when the payment is due. First off, so we kind of create a 6-week plan. Like, how do we actually solve some of these constraints? So payment conditions and terms, so payment terms, we're gonna actually enforce them. Right now, does it say 30 days is your invoices are due?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll say on there.
Yeah, man, like we just can't do that. We are a bank right now. Sometimes what happens is people look at very successful companies in home services and they say, oh, they're doing X, I should do that as well. When in reality, they did not grow the business to that size because of those tools. So it's like, oh, all the companies around me have brand new trucks, I should get brand new trucks. No, the reason they got brand new trucks is because they are really good at selling and marketing, because they're really good at leading people, they're a great boss. Get good at those things, like those are the actual skills that build the business, and then all those other things we just attribute success to, like new trucks, or they got this software, they got this tool, or they do it this way. It's like, that's not necessarily why. There's a time value of money. Like if I can just hold money away from you, I'm making money, you're losing money.
Right.
This is how the banking system is built.
Okay.
Is you give me money today, and then I will give it back to you in 3 years from now, but the holding cost is where I make my money.
Okay.
And so you are paying those fees right now. Like there's no actual fees going for your P&L, but that cash flow churn is what you're feeling right now. And that's why February was so brutal, because revenue goes down for just a little bit, and immediately you get hit. Business is very basic. You simply need leads, you need a team, and you need to lead them. And if you do those things, you'll grow a big business. And then if you tack on all this other stuff, people will attribute the success of the business to those things. And that's like a very faulty thing. We are collecting 30% of a job, we're paying out all the materials, all the wages, all this extra stuff, and then we're hoping they pay us.
Right. That's funny you say that, because it's kind of how it's been feeling lately anyway.
Yeah, because that's what's been happening. Like, your employees aren't gonna wait 4 weeks.
Right.
Your vendors aren't gonna wait 4 weeks. You paid for the materials before the job gets done. Like, if we were gonna go the next level with him, is I would have said, we would have talked about how to delay payment to his vendors. Because if he can figure out a way to pay his vendors every 90 days instead of every 30 days, that gives him more time to collect on the invoices without going negative cash flow. You always want to delay payment to vendors, and you want to reduce the amount of time, I should say, that it takes for customers to pay you. That's why in Copilot we track time to get paid. I never want to have negative cash flow, being where I've only collected 30% and I'm paying out 67% of the job in material costs, direct labor, etc. So we're in the hole in every job because just the materials cost more than 30%. Like the payment terms on the estimate, I think we need to go 7 days overdue. So like after 7 days, we do start to charge fees. But I do expect that when I do the inspection and everything's good, that I collect the final bill.
Really what it is my time has been in the sales a lot. So because usually I would follow up with those customers and kind of keep it all in my head, but now we have to delegate that to office manager, or Malin was on the project manager on the job site more. Just because like if a job gets done on a Friday, my Monday, Tuesday, the following week is already booked out. And so I'm like, I can't call them and just say, hey, can I do a sales follow-up Monday, collect a check? And so then it gets pushed back. So that's what we're working on. We really addressed that and started attacking that last week.
Basically, put that out to the customer before the job is sold.
And I think I make it part of the sales process, and I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because what you're showing there is we need this money to pay our team, and we can't be footing the bill. I would change your sales process to actually bake it in. And I actually think it's a huge value proposition.
My biggest goal for this year is to set up a sales process so that if I get hit by a bus, like Mike says, that it would be able to be taken on. What happens when I'm not here? He's gonna fill that role.
People hire you right now because of the higher value. You're not the low cost subcontractor out there. They want that. So you just lean into it. Melvin's just hey, we have a local team, we pay our workers' comp, we do our insurance. To do that, we need you to pay as soon as possible. So that's the first part. The next part is, I don't even want to wait 7 days. I want that money as fast as possible. Now, I don't even want to have to charge any sort of late fees. My goal is to get the money right after the job is completed. And so the question is, how do we do that? We're gonna have either a credit card on file or an ACH on file. So payment on file.
Do you charge credit card fees when customers use credit cards then?
So right now, how do people pay?
They can pay with credit card. We don't have the fees set up yet. I usually tell them to pay with check.
You're either paying the fees or you're paying in holding costs. Holding costs, everyone's I will take checks. And then they wonder why we have $120,000, $30,000, $150,000, $200,000 in outstanding invoices.
Right.
And so I would rather eat the fees and raise my prices by 3%. I'm always amazed at how business owners are afraid to A, pay 2 to 3% in processing fees, or B, give a 5 to 10% discount to get the money up front, and yet they're willing to pay the bank 10 to 20% in interest on credit cards and lines of credit that are required to bridge the gap because they don't collect money soon enough. Bonkers. Right now you're more worried about processing fees when literally 20% or more of our revenue is sitting wrapped up just waiting to be collected.
That's true, yeah. But then do you pass those fees on to the customer then?
I personally just want the money as fast as possible. Okay. I don't want to create any friction for people giving me money. If I guarantee if tomorrow you just went into QuickBooks and just changed all of your pricing to 5% up, your close ratio would hardly change. It's at 40%, it's pretty good. But what I do know, if you were immediately able to offer credit card processing, your customers would pay faster. And furthermore, they'd be able to click a button and just pay instead of having to send you a check, which now comes down to, I have my checkbook, I'm out of town, I'll get it to you. And that's where this cycle of invoices stacking up happens. Right. This is the ultimate treadmill of every seasonal business, whether it be home services, whether it be retail. It's the next season we will make it back. If I just make it through the next season. It's no, just focus on the fact that if we don't collect the money, we will go out of business. It always is a factor of if I just go a little longer, I will get the money. Eventually they will pay. And that's true, but by the time that they've paid, you have other invoices that are also overdue. And so you're on this treadmill and constantly in a few more months, we'll be fine. We'll get back to the busy season. And the busy season comes, and then guess what? End of the year, you're feeling like you have a little bit of cash going into another off season where the same thing will happen. So what you could do, because of processing fees, if that's a big deal, say, hey, if it's ACH on file, no charge. If it's a credit card on file, then you can pay 2%.
And you would do that beforehand?
We require this before they even start the job. Before they accept, when they go to click accept estimate, it says, fantastic, you will pay deposit and put card on file. I can see the numbers. You guys give money away to charity and stuff like that.
It's 10% of all of our profits goes back to local charities. One thing that we're adamant about is giving back to the community.
So we can do more of that if we just do a better job of collecting the money. And the best time to collect money is when the customer is yes, I want you guys to do my job. It's not at the end of the job when they're thank you, that looks great. And now you have no leverage on them. So you're gonna bake in with Melvin on the sales process. He's gonna collect card information and or ACH.
Okay.
I think one of the advantages is I'm one of the owners, so I care a lot. And that's one thing that we're trying to learn is how do we incentivize and build so that the next salesperson or the 10 that come after us, after me, what's gonna motivate them to care and go the extra mile?
Yeah, I just don't think it's the current constraint of the business, because I believe that if they systematize the way they're doing their marketing, they'll get less leads, higher quality leads, increase their close ratio to 60%, I think they can easily do 3 to 4 million in revenue with just the one salesperson. So that's why I didn't spend any time on how to scale up the sales team and do commissions, and it's like, you got something that's good, you can double the business without having to figure out that constraint. And so figuring that out at this size is a waste of time in my opinion. Just focus on the current issue, which is we don't collect on invoices fast enough. So he could have QuickBooks here, Roofer here. Roofer is, we sign everything, and then we go over to QuickBooks and they put in their payment information. That's stored on file, and the day they walk off that job, you're charging that card, or you're charging their ACH.
Okay. And the 30% when the job gets sold.
We haven't got there yet. I still think it needs to be higher. Now, right now, Good Hands is charging 30% as a deposit or down payment on any invoice that's more than $250. And I like the fact that they're at least collecting deposits. We have a deposit threshold already of $250. I like that. But we need to increase the percentage to 50%. The reason is because otherwise we are losing money on every job before we get the money back. We get 30%, but then we're paying 30 or 40% to materials, another 30 or 40% out to direct labor, and we're actually going in the hole until finally and hopefully the customer pays us after the job. On a $10,000 job, you're getting $3,000, you're putting $6,000 to $7,000 into it, and then you're hoping you get the other $7,000. Collecting money later is never, ever a good idea. I always want the money sooner, because then I'm gonna use that money to pay my employees and buy the materials, the direct cost of the job. By not getting the money up front with a deposit or not collecting on the money right when the job is done, these are the hidden costs that don't show up on a P&L, but they're costing you money every single day. This leads to a treadmill of cash flow, where you're constantly running, trying to get the next job, but you're still falling behind. And the faster you run, the more you fall behind because you're not collecting on the money that you've already earned. And I can't afford to go 40,000 in the hole before I get the $50,000 at the end of the job. So 50% minimum. Why would we not do that?
I've just seen it being used as a selling point to not have to pay as much money up front versus paying more at the end of the job. That way you can be satisfied with the work, and they have a right to be satisfied with what's been done on the project and then pay the rest of them.
But see, here's the thing. If you hadn't grown by 4x year over year and you're on pace to double, I would say that's a problem because we need more leads. Leads is not a problem. We're doubling, tripling, and quadrupling the size of the business year over year. I don't see that as a constraint. The constraint is the work that we're doing, we're not collecting the money. When I look at this, the reason this is helpful is because you notice we haven't filled in anything else because this is the only problem. The only problem is that we do good work, we have leads, we have good labor, it's really solid team,
Yeah, we do.
and a really good leadership team.
Yeah.
We just don't collect the money once we made it, right?
I thought that was our least problem.
No, money is important, money is important.
You know, when I took a look at our business, I thought this was our least pain point, but it turns out that in order for us to scale, it is our most pain point. I had no idea, but because Mike came out here and were so generous with your time, I've been able to see that, so I'm very grateful to you guys for that.
I think you separate yourself from the competition though when you have these sort of requirements. The reason we do all this is because the people showing up on your job site and working on your property are fully insured, they're fully licensed, everything's good to go.
And just include that in sales process.
Yeah, and it seems way more legit when I require this stuff.
Okay.
That's why big companies have big contracts. If someone else, let's just say a customer is like, well, so-and-so is willing to do it, just get the job started. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, I don't want a customer that is even comparing based on potentially not having to pay. Right? I want a customer that trusts us, and if we haven't built that trust for them to pay me a deposit, I haven't done my job. We have to focus on the sales process of selling Good Hands Roofing and the value compared to the other guy. If we do that correctly, this all makes a lot of sense.
And that was a big paradigm shift for me, was realizing that customers don't just buy based on price. I used to think that was the reason customers buy, but they don't. And it's that, and also the lowest price person is generally going to go out of business or isn't going to make any money. He's not going to have a profitable business.
I would just change your deposit threshold to 50%. That would be 20% of your revenue in your bank account. So 20%, that'd be an extra 30 to 40 grand right now in your bank. If we would have just had that one thing different a few months ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see where you're coming from now. And you need something to separate yourself from every other, whether it's a lawn care company or roofing company. You need something to separate yourself from the pack, especially in today's information age. We see everything a lot more deeper now. You see so many more roofing companies simply because of the social media age, and everyone's on social media that has a roofing company.
So we're gonna change the payment terms, we're gonna get payment on file, and we're gonna charge at least 50% down. I would also offer a paid in full discount. In the perfect world, every single one-time project would be paid in full, 100%, before the job even takes place. But a lot of times, home service business owners, we're concerned by the fact that if we require that and we make it mandatory, that we will lose out on jobs. And you could be right. But what if you could give them the option to pay in full? When they had a $15,000 job, you required 50% down, but you gave them the option to pay in full. And you might even give them a discount if they were to pay 100% of the job before it even got on the books. Now, you all don't have a ton of recurring customers coming back to you, but there are people that know, like, and trust you. They've seen your stuff online, they've seen your website, they trust you guys. 10% off if you pay us up front.
15% is a good profit margin for the roofing. So I would prefer maybe to do 5% off if you pay full.
Given a discount. Like, if you're able to save $1,000 off of your roof because you paid in full, that might be important to someone. This is also why I use it. Someone says, hey, we're really watching the budget. Like, we really, can you guys squeeze this down at all? Well, you know what, Mr. Jones, we do have another discount. If you pay the whole thing in front, then you do get 5% off. It saves you an extra $1,000. So I'll actually use it as a sales tactic to bring the price down. We're launching this feature at Copilot called Paid in Full. Every single estimate, they just have the option of paying the whole thing up front instead of paying a deposit only. And you get like 25% of people to just pay the whole invoice up front without doing any payment terms.
Would you lead with this one then?
No.
Okay.
No, I would leave that in my back pocket for price sensitive customers.
Okay.
Right?
I like that. That's a good call.
I would also say I'd probably put another one in my back pocket for seasonality, because you have such a massive ramp from February, March, and April, like 90,000 to 200 something thousand. We have a seasonal problem. And so the other thing, if someone's like, I can't afford that, no worries. We can save more if you're willing to wait 8 months to do the job in the middle of our off season. I am willing to go in half the cost if someone's willing to reduce the scope of work, pay me up front, 8 months in advance, and I do the job in 8 months in the middle of my off season. Honestly, the vast majority of home service business owners, including myself, don't really like to ask for money. What we like to do is use the office of the admin person as a scapegoat and say, like, yes, the office will take care of the money. Like, well, I'm just here to do the work. The office will get the money from you. Versus just being like, setting the expectation that it's part of the process, and that is like, we get the deposit, we lock you in, the office gets you on the schedule. When we do the walkthrough, we collect the rest of the payment. And I know that's not comfortable, but it's the difference between growing the business this year to 3 million for him versus having to keep it at 2 million, simply because he cannot afford the massive cash flow gap that's being caused by not collecting money up front. And so I would really craft with Melvin, like, when someone comes down to the end and I give them a price, if they're not happy with it, I can move. But there's 3 ways I get to move.
I like that. I like that a lot.
There is no world in which you would rather have money later than sooner. None. Zilch. Nada. This is why in Copilot, when we make the feature, all new members to Copilot will have it defaulted on to where every single customer just sees the option of paying in full. Like, you would be shocked at how many people would just rather pay the whole bill up front than wait after the job. And you get like 25% of people to just pay the whole invoice up front without doing any payment terms. Last thing we do is automate collections. Now let's assume for a moment that Good Hands doesn't collect a deposit. They don't collect the money right when the job is completed. And they don't get a card on file or a bank account on file to charge the customer if things go awry. They've got to at least have an automated system for collecting on that invoice after the job is done, with text, emails, and phone calls going to the customer day 1, day 3, day 5. I'm gonna harass that customer until they pay me, because until they have, they're robbing from me and it's costing me money every single day. Now, because we have our payment terms ironed out, because we have credit cards on file, this shouldn't really happen much. And that is customers not paying. But we do need to create some sort of automated follow-up, texts and emails going out to the customer. I'm doing 1 day, 3 day, 5 day, 7 day. You can do it as much as you want. I will harass the person until they pay me. They're robbing from you until they give you the money. Now, in any CRM or software system that you're using, you should be able to set this up. For example, inside Copilot, I'm gonna create after 1 day a text message. Day 3, I'm gonna send them a phone call. After day 5, I'm gonna send them an email. I'm gonna keep following up with the customer until they pay me. And in every one of those messages, there's gonna be a link to the invoice to get payment right away. But again, all of that shouldn't be happening because we should have collected a bigger deposit, we should have collected the invoice right when the job was done, and we should have had a card on file or ACH just in case that didn't happen. Again, we are trying to avoid this by all this other stuff: card on file, payment terms, the fee stacking up after 7 days, pay in full discounts, deposit threshold being high. Like, all of this should prevent this from happening, but this is your last line of defense, and that is like, we need to collect the money.
That's funny because You're not gonna like this one, but last week we just like finished up a like 70K job.
Cool.
And he paid 30% down, so it was, I think it was like around 40K, 42K. So I said, hey, I'm gonna call you up, can I do the job inspection now? He's like, yeah, go ahead. And so I did the final walkthrough, and he's like, oh, are you guys gonna come back up for the check, or do you want us to, how do you wanna do it? Do you want us, and I was like, oh, don't worry about it.
No, the office will send that dealer.
You can just bill us.
No, we need to make more money. We need to collect every dollar possible. Okay, final inspection equals money in pocket. So we're gonna completely avoid overdue invoices by attacking 3 distinct areas. First, during the estimate process, I'm collecting a larger deposit. Then at the job being done, the inspection, the walkthrough with the customer, I'm collecting all of the invoice. And if all else fails, I'm gonna have a card on file, the third part, a card on file or an ACH bank account on file to be able to charge the customer. I should never have an invoice overdue by more than 7 days. I would really look at your sales process and your inspection process as that is when we collect money. No job walkthrough or inspection happens without money going into your pocket.
And also it would be probably good for us to schedule those job walkthroughs as soon as possible after the job is done.
Oh, it's like within 24 hours. Because the longer that sits, the more they're gonna come up with all these random little stuff. Once you've solved the problem, all the materials have been spent, all the direct costs have been spent, that is not when I wanna be collecting money. Like anytime after that, all bad news. They're gonna be like, oh, that one shingle looks off. Oh, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you did a horrible job. And then you have all the leverage against you, 70% of the job sitting there. You have $42,000 against you. They're robbing from you. It's unethical. And we will sit on that property and we'll just like sit there and be like, yo, you gotta pay us. And if you're not, I have a credit card, I'm gonna go ding it right now.
Right, and that's also gonna look a lot cleaner than on our cash basis accounting.
It'll line up perfectly.
Right.
It'll be beautiful. Cash accounting will be ahead because we collect money faster.
Right.
Right? But then our accrual, the moment we finish the job, we're getting paid.
I mean, this is really cool. Like, it opens up my mind to a lot of the pain points that I've been feeling and how to solve them, so I appreciate that. I think one question would be, how do you like build systems and processes and SOPs inside of a business?
So this is another thing that words that people use to sell fancy things. Unfortunately, we have a whole bunch of people wanting to sell systems and processes and checklists and procedures and SOPs as if it's a magic sauce, when all that is, does this simplify this process? Does this standardize this process? Oh, let's create a script. All that script is a standardized way of doing X, right? Systems and process, SOPs. I agree, it should be done.
Okay.
I like to think of it like this. I think of it like this. It's like, look, how do we create a place in which systems occur, right? So there is 2 ways of doing something. Either the simple way, or we can do things the complex way. Okay? There's 2 ways to do a job. One is a standard way, and the other way is custom. Boom. We want to live right here. Simple, standardized services. Now, what you talked about is very true. Like you're pruning things. Hey, we're growing the business. Why? Because as you scale, simple will work better. Standardized will work better. When you start doing every job is custom and every job is complex, you live in the land of treadmill operator. You have to be on every single job site. Every single job site goes wrong. There's mistakes made on all the time. You do not want to be living over here. So instead of like getting all focused on paying a bunch of money and like feeling inadequate, that's what I hate the most. Like I hate the fact that like we just talked to someone that runs a $2 million business and feels inadequate to like run their business, do marketing and hiring when they are fully capable of learning this 8 hours on YouTube. I just don't like the nebulous terms of systems and SOPs. It makes everyone feel inadequate to be able to run their business, when in reality, all it is simplification and standardization, and it is avoiding complex and custom, period. So in my opinion, instead of saying, like, how do I systemize the business, I say, how do I create simple everything and standardize everything, and by doing that, I create a system. Because if you standardize the way you answer the phone, you've created a system. If you standardize the way you do invoicing, the way you do your sales process with Melvin, that's a system. We just call it these SOPs. It's like you just standardize it. We do it the same way every single time. That's what standardized means. Simple, standard. Like, if you just live in this world, you will create systems by osmosis. So anything that's complex, anything that only you can do, bad news. Anything custom where every single job is different, we need different types of equipment, just get rid of it. That's what you're already doing as you've been beginning to grow. The first thing when we get to a customer's job, brand new customer, they're interested in a new roof. What's the first thing you're doing?
Do a full roof inspection.
Great. Number 2, what's the next thing we're doing?
We have like an inspection checklist on Company Cam.
Okay.
And then from there we go and create the estimate in Roofer.
Okay, and is that in like the truck and then you go back in the house?
Yes.
Got it. So then I'm gonna say we're gonna do price. And then I'm going to assume we present that price to the customer.
Yes.
Right, so then we're gonna do presentation,
Yes.
inspection, they're going in their truck for 20 minutes and they're popping back in,
Yes,
right? Great.
exactly.
Okay, so he's printing out some pictures, he's showing that, I'm assuming showing pricing information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Showing different products that
Okay.
we have, and then the goal is to get a close on the spot. Like to
Yep.
get, would be one.
Go close.
And payment.
Hey, you got it! Let's go! 5 things. There's your simple standardized process for every single sales call, right? Now, the presentation part sounds like it's gonna be improved with software.
Yes.
Great. But now there's 5 things that he's gonna work through every single time. And then what I would do is I would do a recon on every single estimate, especially big ones or however you want to figure this out. Where do we lose this job? Do we lose it in the inspection? Do we lose it in the price? Do we lose it in the presentation? Do we lose it in the close, or do we lose it in payment? Then you're gonna find out, so, because right now, this is what you're thinking. You're thinking close ratio, 40%. I look at it as, I lost 5% here, I lost 10% here, I lost 4% there, I lost 8% there, I lost 6% there. I wanna know that. Because right now, you are assuming that if we change payment terms, we're gonna lose more customers. I don't believe that's gonna happen. I think you have less than 1%, that would be a problem. You're losing them up here. And honestly, like what I did with him with like the sales process, he made the sales process. I just asked, so what's the next step? And what's the next step? And what's the next step? That's all I did. And so some people just need to sit down with ChatGPT and YouTube for about 8 hours and they'd figure out most of these problems. And they're capable, like, yeah, they're fully capable. They're more capable than a lot of the people that tell them about the systems and processes. Like just because you can use ChatGPT better than someone else doesn't mean anything. Liquidity, is the only thing I care about. We need $120,000 in the bank. We need to work on the collections process. That collections process is all the 6-week plan. The rest of it I'm talking about, not even putting the 6-week plan, because I don't think it's actually the bottleneck to the business. I think if you fix this, the business can grow, and it won't be as stressful.
I have the little chart here with me. A couple days after you guys left, I would say maybe a week or 2 after you left, I was going over the bank account and on paper we were of course like pretty profitable, but then I looked at the bank account and our checking account went from like 100K all the way down to like 11,000 in like the matter of like 3 days. And it was just like a light bulb moment of, okay, now I know this is what Mike is talking about. Like, it just opened my eyes to see it a little bit more from your perspective. So we updated our payment terms, 50% deposit down, rest of the job due upon job completion, deposit threshold of 50%, paid in full discount. We didn't do that one much yet. We haven't seen too many objections as of now as far as price. Automating collections, business has been going very good. Like we had our record month in sales in April, and we're hoping for another record here in May. I think our goal was to do like over 200K in April, and then we ended up doing like 340K as far as getting money in the bank, like getting the money off of what people owe us. We've been cleaning up the accrual-based accounting as well. Yeah, we've definitely been able to do a better job of it. So as of now, end up checking and saving, if we combine the two, we are currently at, wow, what a blessing. I didn't even know we were at this much, but we're at 130 plus. Dang, that's crazy, man. We're like 180,000 right now. Yeah, so that was like, yeah, that's a good feeling, man. That's a really good feeling, because recently after you guys left, one of our trucks broke down, or a tree fell on one of our vans during a storm. One of our trucks blew a transmission line. We had like some extra money in the bank that helped us go out and buy a new van and really not see a big stress on the bank account, because we were able to collect on money ahead of time and also collect on money that was actually owed to us. The thing about Mike and your guys' teaching really that I really appreciate is like Mike is such a down-to-earth guy, and the way that he cared like about us, like about our business, mentored us, and the way your whole team, dude, like really yourself, like that meant so much to me.
it finally settled in my spirit that like, okay, wow, I'm running an actual business. And the way Mike was so encouraging to me, and then it also showed the guys on my team that we care about improving the business. And this isn't just something I'm experimenting with. Like, I'm serious about this. And yeah, like it really lit a fire underneath our whole team. So man, I'm just super thankful for that. Thank you so much, man. What's like one piece of advice that you'd give to, first of all, I have a ton of respect for what you've done and accomplished. Man.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring to me. But if you were to talk to somebody in my shoes or look at your younger self, like that's one piece of advice that you'd give to.
Just focus on one thing at a time. So like, I know like right now, like, the thing you put on the list is just like, it's all beating the dead horse of collections, but like that is the current constraint.
Okay.
It's easy to get like, oh, I gotta do like the leads thing and the website thing. I gotta do like all this, just focus on one thing. And if you do that, like, and you fix one thing every 2-3 months in the business, you'll crush it.
One thing.
And then like time will go on, like you'll focus on other aspects of life too, right? So like family and stuff. Like, okay, I'll focus on this for a bit. That's fine. So you'll crush it.
I think taking it a day at a time, and one piece of advice that I got from you guys was just to take it one thing at a time and one step at a time, and really like steering well what we've been given. How can I max out every area of my business before I try anything else new? Like, I would say that's the biggest focus, and then whatever comes next is just a result of the input that we've put into the business.